Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everyone? What's going on, Chip? Man, I'll tell you what, breaking all over the place. Crazy news, SVB, signature, all sorts of chaos reigning right now. A lot of connection. Coinbase, Ripple, man, runs on banks. The financial system in ruins, in shambles. The system is broken. Big bank run coming? Question mark. What in the world is going on? This is just chaos. Chaos, I say. Complete and utter chaos, Chip.
Total bedlam, Jeff. Bedlam. That's a great word.
Bedlam.
I didn't even have my mic set up. Jeff and I are going through too much breaking news. There's too much stuff breaking right now. We can't keep up.
We're doing our own show behind the show, before the show, and we almost didn't do the show
because we're too busy
doing our own show.
Stuff.
We're like, oh my God, did you read this?
Are you ready to go?
God. I'm ready to go.
Let's do it.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome everybody to a beautiful Sunday evening on planet Earth. If hopefully it'll all be here tomorrow, or if you are in the future, if you're in Australia, you're already on Monday, so at least everything's still stable on Monday on the other side of the world if you're over in Asia. But I just wanted to welcome everybody here tonight and also say thank you for being here. Best way you can support the channel, share it with your friends, your family. Also, if you want to be super extra generous, you can also throw us a super chat. If you're watching on the rewatch, you can rewatch it. If you re-ratchet on the rewatch, you can also buy. There's something you can do there too, but it's a dumb name, so it never sticks. But there's something you can buy there. Whatever. Bottom line is, we're happy to have you guys here with us tonight, and really, your support means the world to us. Now, let's get on. Wait a minute, Jeff. What's the over under on at least one other bank going under while we are doing this show? I mean.
That's highly probable.
Right?
And it's all happening on a Sunday.
It's all happening on Sunday. Only one day on Sunday. The monster trucks will go on Sunday. Remember those stupid commercials, Jeff? Sunday. Monster truck show on Sunday. I hope I didn't blow someone's.
I think you're blowing out my.
I think I just blew someone's ears out. What's going on? Jim D. Jim D never. Have you noticed something? Jim D never misses a show.
Never
misses a show. Always in here, guys. Always appreciate you guys.
Everybody, give a quick shout out where you're tuning in from. We're always interested to see what part of the world you're coming in from. Good chance XRP New Zealand is in New Zealand, and we know Darcy is somewhere over there in Ireland, but every one of you guys pumping in to the chat right now, give a quick shout out. Man, we got a ton of things to cover, Chip. Where do we start? Because it's kind of an exciting amount of news. Not all good, but an exciting amount of news to cover.
Well, I think we should probably start with probably the good news. Is there good news? There's some good news here, right? So there's always some good news. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and start with this puppy right here. And the very good news is, if you got to call it good news, but this has been breaking as well. So we've got, according to the FDIC, insured Silicon Valley Bank deposits will be available no later than Monday. But there is wait a minute, that's not hang on a second, man. Let me see. There's so many things in the keep, Jeff. It's hard to keep them all set. Here it is.
Let's make sure we open the right ones.
Make sure you open the right one, because news is already changing. But this was Watcher Guru put this one out, and I've seen this everywhere. I also saw this on. So U.S. says that all Silicon. We have this actual statement. We'll get to a little bit later in the show. But U.S. says all Silicon Valley Bank depositors will have access to their money on Monday. Gee, Jeff, that was pretty fast, right? But as we discovered in the pre-show, the CEO is a former San Francisco Fed chair, and apparently sold like $121 million. Don't quote me on the number. It was over $100 million in stocks. When? A month ago. I'm sure it was just a coincidence, right? And then what did you discover about their CFO?
So he's actually the CAO.
CAO, okay.
So the current
there's
CAO of Silicon Valley Bank was the Lehman Brothers CFO prior to the 2008 collapse. So he left in 2007, shortly before the big collapse of Lehman Brothers in 2008, to join SVB. So he left 1 year before. So is there some connection there? I don't know. Lehman Brothers, the Fed. You got a lot of people that have rubbed shoulders at one point in time or another. But man, what is going on at SVB and now at Signature?
Yes. And then here we go right here. Here's a joint statement by the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. And honestly, at this point, both of them grounds for termination, revoked instantly. So the Department of Treasury, Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, which is the biggest fleecing in American history, Federal Deposit Insurance Company, better known as the FDIC, and they basically said the following statement released by the Secretary of Treasury, Janet Yellen. She can't put 3 sentences together. We know she didn't write it. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, who was just in a hearing last Thursday and Friday, talking about raising 50 basis points, right? And then you've got the FDIC Chair Martin Gruberg. Today, we're taking decisive actions to protect the U.S. economy by strengthening public confidence in our banking system. Jeff, that opening statement, how much confidence do people have? A bank, how many people will be lined up at a bank, or how many people are transferring money as we speak? Where do you transfer it to? Says this step will ensure that the U.S. banking system continues to perform its vital roles in protecting deposits and providing access to credit to households and businesses in a manner that promotes strong and sustainable economic growth. After receiving a recommendation from the boards, the FDIC, and the Federal Reserve, and consulting with the President, Secretary Yellen approved actions enabling the FDIC to complete a resolution of Silicon Valley Bank, Santa Clara, California, in a manner that protects all depositors. Now, what about the other 2 banks, Jeff, that are left in the cold? Is the government picking winners and losers again here?
So, of course they are. So we got SVP, we got Signature, and these bank failures like this, these closures, the largest since 2008. Obviously, we had Washington Mutual that closed. We had issues with Lehman Brothers, and then the list kind of went on. But then the government stepped in, like you just mentioned, picking winners and losers and putting their weight behind those they deemed to be too big to fail, or the ones that they wanted to win, as they pushed out anybody that they probably thought they wanted to lose. But there's definitely some monkey things going on over here that it just things seem to be a little shady. I don't know. I mean, we can walk down over the past couple of years. You can go into these kind of quote unquote conspiracy minded ideas, and then sure enough, it all comes out to be true. So what's going on? There's no such thing as a coincidence. And
Well,
there's
Jeff,
too many connections.
says right here, we're also announcing a similar systemic risk exemption. So now they're calling it a systemic risk exemption. There's a new coinage of phrase right there for Signature Bank, New York, which was closed today by State Chartering Authority. Now, what about the first one that closed? Oh, wait a minute, Jeff. That was associated with crypto. Wah, 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 right? Remember that?
It's already old news. Yeah, but
Pocahontas came
like
out.
a week ago.
Pocahontas was all upset, all up in arms. She wasn't all up in arms about SVB, but she was all up in arms about the other one. It says with the resolution of Silicon Valley, no losses will be borne by the taxpayer. But the first bank, sorry guys. I mean,
sorry guys. Just gonna
Jeff,
go away.
I can't even remember what was the other guys. Put it in the chat. What was the other bank that went down? The crypto-related bank before
Silvergate. Was it Silvergate?
Silvergate.
So Harry Hart said
mention of Silvergate, Jeff.
They're trying to take crypto down. That's Gary leading the charge with all of his buddies.
So again, here's the government picking winners and losers, and people by Silvergate, the very first one to go to fit. But the difference with Silvergate, though, that nobody really wanted to address and talk about is they were making everybody whole. So they didn't need to step in, but they're just closing it down, right? But they were making everybody whole. It wasn't like these other 2 failures where You
The
know,
government has to step in.
yeah,
The government's in a bad position where
Is it a
they
massive
think
one?
it's their responsibility to bail everybody out. Similar to the Voyager situation, with Voyager going into bankruptcy and Binance wanting to buy the assets and making everyone at least 73% whole. And 97% of the holders in Voyager said, hey, that's an awesome idea.
Right.
And then it was, approved by Judge Wiles, like we covered this past week in New York. And then the DOJ and the SEC stepped in. They're like, oh no, not so fast. We're not going to allow that to happen. We want the little guy to suffer a little bit more.
That's just incredible. So the last one, it says, finally, the Federal Reserve Board on Sunday announced they will make available additional funding eligible depository institutions to help ensure banks have the ability to meet the needs of their depositors. Interesting. It's just crazy, interesting news. What a few 3 days it's been. So, hey, thank you. Welcome to Earth TV. Thank you for that massive support. So happy to be in crypto. The old system is unfixable. Thanks, guys. Okay, this is Jackie. Jackie has a new moniker. I didn't know that. Jackie 33. So I was like, thank you for putting that in there, because I was like, I don't know if I've seen Welcome to Earth. Not a bad moniker though, but thank you for that, Jackie. Much appreciated. And I gotta say, this is wait, hang on a second. This is a good point right here.
Yeah.
Be happy you're in crypto. Be happy that you have, you have your digital assets in a cold storage wallet. You're not going to be affected by stuff. The worst part of it is maybe you lose your seed phrase. That would be rough. But for the most part, I think this is really good. The O system is unfixable, and it will get fixed. I'm telling you, next 5 years, within 5 years, the Federal Reserve is going bye-bye. They've done it to themselves. Go ahead, Jeff.
So there was a tweet here by Heather Long, who's on the editorial board of the Washington Post. Let me see if I can pull this up here. So she asked this important question. So who's paying for the bailout of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, right? But she then answers, fees on banks. A special fund was set up after the 2008 financial crisis. It currently has $100 billion. So no taxpayer money. Is that true, or can this be debunked?
Well, first of all, the failure is over 100 billion, so I just debunked it right now. It's like,
that's number one.
I mean, Heather Long sits on the editorial board for which?
She is an economic columnist and editorial board member of, you guessed it, the Washington Post.
Okay, well, the propaganda number one. Okay, so I was like, what propaganda department is she part of? Don't worry, everybody. Don't worry. If you cry wolf long enough, Jeff, people start ignoring you. And it's like, okay, when someone's yelling out, oh, don't worry, there's not going to be any taxpayer money. No, we just sent almost $1 trillion to a country over there so that they could protect their borders, Jeff, and so that they could, I don't know, buy equipment. They seem to be losing badly, but I don't know what's going on over there. Something happening.
But here you go, Chip. Here's some commentary. Those banks recycled tax dollars, and $100 billion won't even cover SVB.
Nope.
No taxes, perhaps. However, assuming all the folks with deposits in any bank pay taxes, can you be sure all of the money in the fund came from them through the bank and not simply from the bank out of the kindness of their hearts? I mean, some of this stuff is just stupid. But do you think banks happily took on this cost to their business, or perhaps passed the cost on to consumers in the form of higher lending rates and new fees? Because if you think it's the former, I'd invite you to look at all capitalism's recorded history.
That's actually a good point right there. If you think about it, like John Kennedy brilliantly grilled Fed Chair Jerome Powell when he got him to admit that in order to bring down the inflation, you're going to put about 2 million people out of work, right? If that's the case, about 2 million people out of work. Well, let's see, Jeff. Let's figure out how this thing works. And so they want to keep. So who are they actually protecting here, right? They're not protecting the little guy who's going to be losing their job. They're going to be protecting the big guy, right? The big institutional investors, because those basis points in the lending rate only help them. It doesn't help you and I. It doesn't help the little guy. It has, all is things go up and up. You go like, well, we brought inflation down. Awesome. I loved it better when I didn't have it, when I had a job, not when, all these millions of people are out of work. It's incredible, Jeff.
So Chip, there's another post here from I don't know who this is on Twitter. So you could even
Well,
make
read
some
the name.
assumption. It's called Midas Touch,
Okay.
producing the most influential and impactful pro-democracy content in the world. I don't think so.
That makes
But
me worry. That worries me.
Right.
That already worries me, Jeff.
I don't think so. It said, whoa, here it is. The moment in 2018 when Donald Trump removed the Dodd-Frank regulations
Yeah.
that would have prevented the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. Don't let anyone forget this. Oh, so now they want to single it out as though Dodd-Frank would have saved SVB. Now, Dodd-Frank was an extremely punitive bill. The regulations that it put into place, had detrimental impact on industry and from a financial economic perspective was an extreme negative, as you
Yes.
know very well.
Agreed.
We don't have to get into all the details of it. So the fact they got rid of net positive, would it have prevented the Silicon Valley Bank collapse? Not when you're orchestrating it on the other side of it and you're the causation of the collapse. Then the narrative that they're trying to spin and weave it's all being debunked. Bunch of misinformation. You want to throw back their words right back at them? Well, there you go.
I'll tell you something.
Throw it back
I've
in their
got some
face.
good comments in the chat right here. John Doe Crypto says, "Hey, I'm realizing that during the show that this was a targeted attack in disguise, and anyone looking can see. And that's what's crazy
Yep.
because it's been done. Cold storage, don't sweat stuff like this. Hodl
That's
strong." And then we've got Miguel Castillo says, "Gossip is that Gensler is purposely attacking SVB, knowing Ripple had holding cash, and putting pressure on Ripple to settle the case. But we all
Right.
know they're going to be made whole." And then Becky Forbes reminds everyone yet again that no notifications went out.
Oh, you know what? I didn't get my notification either.
Jeff, I never get the notification. This is what's crazy. I'm like, I'm so happy that anybody shows up for the show because I never get the notification and I'm doing the show. Maybe it would be good because then we'd know we should go live earlier. But other than that,
we would know. We'd know. Hey, there's a show. We got to start. So
sometimes
Chip,
Jeff and I are too busy talking.
we were way over. So Rep Eric Swalwell. Everyone has a ton of respect for that character. So
is that why
here's
Fang
the
Fang is that why Fang Fang is it's trending on Twitter? It's trending right now, by the way.
Right. So Swalwell. So now here's the new narrative that they're going to spin. We have a 2024 campaign period that's getting ready to come up, so they have to start setting some tone. They have to start blaming others for their action. And then you have McCarthy, super active right now. But here you have millions of middle-class paychecks are at risk this next payday because Trump and McCarthy deregulated banks, and he bragged about it. That's Eric Swalwell. So you can see how the blue team is going to spin the narrative. And as they spun the narrative against cryptocurrency, they are going to continue spinning the narrative, and they're going to continue pointing fingers while they are the ones that are directly impacting downturn. They're the ones that, it's mind-boggling.
Jeff, isn't the timing interesting? It just as one narrative is collapsing where they held all these hearings a year ago in January. Just as that Jan 6 is collapsing that narrative, like, oh my gosh, you can't release the actual footage and let people see that. What will they do with their own opinions and their own eyes? You can't trust your own eyes and your own ears. Even Mitch McConnell, who plays for the red team, Jeff, came out and said that he's going with what the Capitol Police said. Even though what they said was incorrect, and even though it was stretched a little bit, but he's like, oh, you got to trust them. So this whole thing, it's like this narrative is collapsing. A lot of other narratives are collapsing. Quick, Jeff, we need a quick distraction. I'm not saying it was done purposely. I'm just saying the timing is really interesting here. I mean, it is insane. But Jeff, let's put this up because everyone's wondering about it.
Oh,
Brad Garlinghouse put this up 2 hours ago. He said, setting the record straight on SVB questions. Ripple had some exposure to SVB. It was a banking partner and held some of our cash balance. Fortunately, we expect no disruption in our day-to-day business and already held a majority of our USD with a broader network of bank partners. Now, there you go. That makes sense. Obviously, a lot is still unknown about what happens, although we just found out because it just broke after he put this tweet out with SVB, and as the case of many others. We hope to have more details soon, but rest assured, Ripple remains in a strong financial position. It's ironic that so much of what's happening, in parentheses, as some companies scramble to make payroll, N paren says highlights how broken our financial systems still are. Like, for example, wires are still not 24/7, 365 days. Rumors lead to collapse and the frictions of moving money within a deeply fragmented system. I'm glad he got that last bit in there, Jeff.
Man, it's so spot on, what Garlinghouse brought up, and as you dig down through, a lot of his tweets in regards to this, uh, he- it's very true, and this is where referencing that the financial system is just simply broken, so you can't quickly move money. I think we can also point out that there's a lack of transparency in the system, and overall, there a lot of major issue that's been going on right now, and so for us to look and see, who were some of the leadership within the banking infrastructure now and the banking infrastructure before when it collapsed. And you're starting to see a lot of similarities, including some key people that are sitting in positions like with the SEC and elsewhere. So this week is going to be very, very telling. Uh, who knows where it goes from here, though. I would like to be able to see how they're going to bail out all these people. There was another article that came out that said U.S. banks are sitting right now on an unrealized loss of about $620 billion. 620 billion
Say
in
what, Jeff?
unrealized loss. So, and this was reported by CNN. And there's a lot more that will come out on that. So, what exact 620 billion, significant number, especially, you start some of the banking collapses, maybe we'll see, well, we'll see what with the outcome if there's some allowance for the sales of asset from SVB, who's going to step in. There's some commentary. People are saying, "Hey, could you imagine if it was Ripple? Could you imagine if?" And someone in the chat even said that. Could you imagine if it becomes Ripple Bank and they step in and decide that they're going to buy the asset of SVB and buy SVB? Others have hinted at the fact that maybe Elon Musk will step in and
Yeah.
decide that he's going to buy the bank. So it is.
Yeah.
Things are moving at light speed here.
Breakneck
It's really-
speed. Look at this, Jeff.
It's
And
really
speaking
hard
of right on time, there's K-HUD right with the big support. As always, you can always count on K-HUD. You, we, us. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Beautiful. Love that. Thank you. And I wanted to say something else too, Jeff. Mentalect. So Mentalect is in here, says hello. But Jeff, you know what struck me? I'm like, if you think about this, Mentalect, what would be the perfect, and I mean the perfect badass Yeti for Mentalect? Well, it would be none other than the Mentalists.
a mentalist.
They're the Mentalists right there, right? So there's the Mentalist. This is one in the series. So I'm like thinking Mentalist meet Mentalist. Mentalist meet Mentalect, right? So there you go. It's like, it seems like it's perfect. Here they are right there. There's another one. There's another one. And there's another one.
orchestrated.
So pick one, man. I mean, like, it sounds to
Like
me
manna
like,
from heaven.
right? Sorry, I just that just when I saw Mentalect, I'm like, man, if he doesn't get a mentalist badass
The
Yeti, I don't know
mentalist.
what.
Hell yeah, the mentalist rocks. Hell
Maybe
yes.
rename it the Mentalect, just an honor, Jeff.
Yeah, we can
The
have just one.
Mentalect, yeah, the
The
Mentalect
Mentalect.
or the Mentalect. Want to really go down a rabbit hole? Says Becky Forbes. Research who are the ones that own Moody's, the credit rating for banks, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, and others. This was intentional. Interesting, huh? Oh, it's
Lots of
just
good commentary.
these are
here.
all
Like that.
coincidences, Becky. What are you talking about? None of this stuff. I mean, come on now.
HSBC Holdings is working with the UK government as a potential white knight for SVB. There was some commentary on somehow the UK stepping in. Insider said Bank of England is in talks with HSBC and JP Morgan. That was on Sky News. Things are heating up. Things are getting really interesting right now.
It's getting I'm just looking at
Stewart,
like
breaking news. Brad announces Ripple Bank on Monday morning. That'd be massive breaking news.
Jeff. First of all, don't poke the bear. Okay, let's just get through. let's get through this. Let's get through this lawsuit first, and then you can start poking the bear all you want. But that would just be shoving it right up the bottom hole of Gary Gensler and Oz. I don't think so. And it's not the other start of 2008. No, 2008 was different. That crumbled because of the mortgage-backed securities and them reselling all this stuff. I think that's a large part of what happened. This one's a little bit different. And of course, too, we have well, it is interesting, Jeff. Look, it's weird. It's interesting when these collapses happen, who's the resident in the White House, right? When this stuff goes down.
I do want to give a quick shout out to Oz Crypto. If you guys haven't tuned in and you don't watch Oz Crypto, go check out some of his content. Really great stuff. I love Oz Crypto. We've known Oz Crypto from way back, way back. We had him here on the chain. Go to onthechain.io, search it up. You can look for Oz Crypto and you can see when he was on here with us. And then go check out some of his content. You guys will appreciate it if you haven't already.
Yeah. Yepers. That is exactly right. It's an interesting comment. This is kind of funny, but it's Oz Crypto is very solid respect, says Mentellect. I like
Chip,
that.
I'll be right back. Give me one second.
No, you got it. So here we go right here. So this is a cool little comment by Fubar. He says, the year is 2023. Picture the scene, okay? In your mind's eye, just imagine, right? 2023, present day. And most banks are still closed on the weekends. Not all of them. There's a couple of them that are actually open on Saturday, but most of them are. Now imagine if we locked up all the grocery stores every Saturday. It's kind of hard to believe that in this day and age, thanks to digital banking and everything else, you don't really have to worry about it. But it is a pretty interesting observation there, Jeff, I thought. Here's another one by Brad Garlinghouse. Some thoughts from last week's DC visit. I'm stating the obvious, but the crypto industry at large in the US needs to rebuild trust through both utility and transparency due to FTX, Terra, and more. But it's the only way we collectively move forward, because the last three bank failures have done so much to forward that motion, Jeff. I mean, sounds like right on time there. So he goes on to say the headwinds keep growing with the SEC declaring war on crypto. Chair Gensler continues to harp that firms simply need to come in and register. Come in and talk, Jeff. Come in and register. But the truth is, there's no infrastructure in place for a so-called registered token to trade, nor any clarity as to what these tokens are. So if you want to regulate, then regulate. Regulators! Put on the hard work to build a framework. I wish we could play the regulators on here. Warren G, awesome. What a great tune that is, great. Man. Yeah, and set guidance, and so many other G20 countries already doing. 27 European Union member countries agree on a set of rules with the MICA. What's stopping the U.S.? He's asking a really good point. What is stopping the U.S., Jeff? What would you say is stopping the U.S.?
SEC bringing the case against Ripple was not really just a case about Ripple or about XRP. It's really about the industry and how the SEC is kind of playing offense and attacking the whole industry. 2.5 years ago when this started, I'm not sure everyone fully digested that. And now that is widely understood. This is going to be pivotal for the whole industry, because if the SEC is able to prevail, I think there's a lot of other cases. And some of them just in the last 4 weeks, I think they brought 5 additional enforcement cases. The macro headline for me is this is not a healthy way to regulate an industry.
There you go, Chip. Does that answer it?
I was to say, Jeff, thank you for the. I can't believe how quick you are on the button, man. This is like incredible, Jeff. Jeff, what do you say? Boom! Here is a statement from. I was like, whoa! I was like that. Nailed it. That's all I have to say is nailed it.
That's it. That's
when
the
he first started saying, I'm like, where's Jeff going with this? And I was like, okay. He's quick on the button, man.
Quick
Look at
on
this.
the button.
Mentalite's bringing up a good point. Market manipulation always occurs on Friday after business hours to maximize retail pain and panic, right? That's so true. And you know what else you do on Friday, late Friday? You release news that you don't want people to notice or see, because they're already into their weekend. They're driving home. They can't wait to get home. They're super excited. But that is a very good point. I mean, look at all the panic. Now, Jeff, what I want to know is, did somebody actually take their life because they realized they were financially ruined? Did they get to the point? Did something like that happen where somebody, ended up in a really bad place because of this? And the Fed stepped in and, nope, don't worry, everybody. No, it's okay. It's okay.
It's possible.
Get a hold of yourself, Jeff, because everything's okay. And I read one tweet from, a woman who started a company in Ohio that talked about, look, I drive an old beater, Honda Odyssey. My husband works in manufacturing. Yeah, we hired people. We finally raised in a horrible economic climate. I was able to do a raise. I think it was only like $3 million, but in this kind of climate, got the money. Guess where all the money was? SVB. So I'm happy for her tonight because, who's impacted are people, man. People that belong to these companies, people that work. I mean, it could have been a rough weekend for everybody, Jeff. And I still think that 12 midnight, 12:01, they said Monday, people are going to be probably going to be some sort of a glitch where people can't get to their money, can't transfer it somewhere. And the weird thing about this particular woman I'm talking about, I don't have the tweet handy, but she said that she heard the rumblings on Twitter. Thursday night, she initiated a wire payment, Jeff. Guess what happened? Closed it on Friday. Bank wire never happened, right? So we talk about legacy, crappy technology where the wire didn't go out. The wire didn't go out in time. So ChatGPT, what is he saying?
No, I was posting. You said I'm fast on it. So Hydroponics said I'm using ChatGPT, but it's true. I am using ChatGPT,
but not for that.
Not for that specifically, but that'd be a hard one. Then he said, "Just kidding." But you know what? In all honesty, ChatGPT is probably one of the greatest tools ever created.
Yeah, except for the bias.
Well, except for the bias, but if you're rewriting like business emails or you want to do a summary of something. So if you go in, you can see the summary that if you look at the description in the YouTube, check out that summary. It was a summary of all the different articles that we are talking about. And it took commentary and notes that we wrote around the subject. And then it puts it into and takes some of the title and everything, and then references what was being discussed, some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. It's amazing. I said, write to a summary based on all this blah, 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 whatever. And in 2 paragraphs, and it created 2 nice paragraphs.
Yeah. Tell me 20 different ways to say this. Tell me this. You feed a bunch of information into it and they say, okay, now tell me, go through that information, you start asking questions against it. It really is. But again, what people don't realize about AI is they're like, oh, AI is it. Most people, when they start using it, will get nothing in return because it's all about, you got to have solid input. You got to refine the input to be able to get really good output. Wait, where was that? Reggie said this. Reggie said it. It's the unleash of an American nightmare. Seems like it, doesn't it, Jeff?
Really does.
Becky G said, or Buckeye G says, associated with the resolution of Silicon Valley Bank will be borne by the taxpayer. But whoa. Wait a minute. But we were told it wouldn't be. We were told $100 billion will cover it all magically. That's what we were told, Jeff.
It's magic.
And then K-Hut again with big support says, we're all concerned about this, even non-digital asset investors. Yeah, very good point. I mean, this is putting a lot of shock and angst and anxiety into the hearts of millions of people. You don't even have to have a lot in the bank, but just to think like, oh my gosh, I can't pay my rent. I can't go grocery shopping. I can't make things happen. That's Panicville, right? And that's where a lot of us are. Lobster Madfish says, I heard that 97% account holders in SVB had more than FDIC 200K limit. It was 2.3% roughly of people that were insured, meaning fully insured, which means they had split it up 250,000 max in each account. So this wasn't covered by the official FDIC, but these are new rules, Jeff. New rules for a new life and a new. And since we're on that subject matter,
Shihab said, "Never let a crisis go to waste."
Jeez, who said that, Jeff? You remember who said that?
I do.
Never let a good crisis go to waste. That was the former mayor of Chicago, Jeff. Let's leave it at that. Why don't we just say that and leave it at that, Jeff?
We can leave it at that.
So Judy Shelton.
Abby said, Elon said he will buy SVB. Maybe he'll be the new Twitter bank. Maybe.
Well, he
It
said he
would
was
be
open to
interesting.
buying it. I don't think
He's
did he
open
come
to
out with a new
buying it.
statement. I missed that. I saw the
It's happening
statement.
so fast. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe like
Mark Phillips said Winston Churchill.
no, Winston Churchill did not say that. Did he? Come on.
Maybe
Bank
he did say it.
term. I don't know if he did, Jeff. Maybe he did. I don't know. I don't think so. Have to research that. Get the research department out. So Judy Shelton said that the bank term funding program synopsis PDF provided by the Federal Reserve. And here it is, Jeff. So the program, can we get this any bigger?
Why is that?
There we go.
The small print. Is that the small? Oh, it's bank term funding program. It's the small print.
Yeah, the BTF. Do we need more acronyms? The
This is the sub
BTFB.
6 font size.
Yeah, to provide liquidity to U.S. depository institutions, each Federal Reserve Bank would make advances to eligible borrowers, taking as collateral their houses and all the property they own. No, it doesn't say that. It says as collateral certain types of securities. What kind of certain types of securities and borrower eligibility?
Are we talking about Ethereum?
I could be, Jeff.
What are we
I mean, it
talking
sounds
about?
like it. Borrower eligibility, a U.S. federally insured depository institution, including a bank, savings association, or credit union, or U.S. So these are all the terminology. Who's eligible for collateral? And then what's the size? It's just a bunch of gobbledygook here, Jeff. The advanced term, the this, the that, the boop, boop, boopity, boopity, boop.
That's interesting. Hey, just so you know, Mentellect is on top of Elon Musk's accounting. So he said he's burning through cash and doesn't believe he can buy it.
Well,
so take Elon Musk out of the equation.
He's burning through cash, but I mean, Twitter. The best tweet I ever saw him put out was he said, "I bought the best nonprofit, the most expensive nonprofit ever when I bought Twitter." And Jeff, how right on was that, right? Because it doesn't make any money, but it just was propped up by a lot of different people as well. I got to tell you, man, first of all, one account that I like to follow a lot, you guys like it or not, but here it goes. I'm going to throw this up here. Why is it taking so long to load, Jeff?
Sir John wants to know why the show started an hour early. So we are an hour advanced. So it could be that you didn't go ahead an hour, but we did go ahead an hour. Although they did try to pass the legislation to keep us in one of the time zones. I don't know which one it was. I don't know if it was standard or daylight or whichever one it is, but it didn't happen yet. So we're still going through those time changes, Chip.
Yeah, it's all messed up, Jeff. The whole thing is just totally crazy mixed up. Yeah, I gotta say the Zero Hedge account is on fire today. I was like, they're just going off. Zero Hedge, that was one of the earlier banned accounts too, and back when they got reinstated. But this is funny, Jeff. They wrote this one little tweet. They said, the first of many bailout acronyms of the new banking crisis is here, and it's the Bank Term Funding Program, or the BTFP. If it was available on Friday, SIVB, the stock would be $300 tomorrow. But don't worry, do it over the weekend, like Mentellect said, or whoever said it was like that, so panic can ensue.
Nothing to see here.
People can jump out windows, be like, "Oh, just kidding. Everything's cool. Don't worry about it. Everything's back to normal, Jeff. Nothing to worry about. Don't worry your pretty little head. Everything's cool."
Do you remember who loved SVB, and was hyping it up?
Would that be Jim Cramer?
Oh yeah, that was Jim Cramer. That's right.
Oh my gosh. Wait, what's this? Jim Cramer again?
Jim Cramer again. So this was actually a year ago. So this was April of 2022. CNBC's Jim Cramer says these 4 financial GARP stocks are investable. And who is number 1 in the top 4? CNBC's Jim Cramer on Tuesday. Now, again, this is a year ago, April, offered a list of 4 investable financial stocks that he believes will benefit from the Federal Reserve raising interest rates to control soaring inflation. Growth at any I wasn't expecting. Growth at any price went out of style in the Wall Street fashion show nearly 6 months ago as we saw yet again today. Now that what this market wants is entirely different. It wants GARP growth at a reasonable price. So the number one stock.
And what is that, Jeff?
The number one stock. Here is the list of the 4 financial stocks that passed the test. Number 1 is Signature Bank. So I don't know if there's anything that's going to happen with any of the other 3, but we'll see what happens. But Signature Bank, SVP, favored picks by our buddy Jimmy Cramer.
Well, I
Fuck in
think
the world.
if we had to go with, here we go. I was looking for this tweet. I don't know why I didn't just use Google.
Elizabeth Warren in the background.
Okay, Jeff. So here's the next one to go down. Are you ready for it? Here it is.
Here it goes. Another one already went down.
The next one to go
Morgan.
down is JP Morgan. Why? Because 2 days ago, our pal Jim Cramer said JP Morgan is a fortress. Which
oh no.
And then Jamie Dimon is flipping the hell out right now. Look at that. It's like
Jim.
It's like you just called JP Morgan a fortress. Run for the hills, everybody. Everybody's unpacking any kind of accounts they have with JP Morgan. Not because it's not a great bank or it's not safe, because Jim Cramer told you it was a fortress. Wow.
Paul Hinker. Cramer is extraordinarily accurate in an inverse sort of way.
An inverse kind of way.
Yeah, if you just follow whatever he says, do the opposite, you're pretty straight. Forward Sophie said, my daughter just sent me a text that Signature Bank is failing as well. It unfortunately is.
Don't worry, the Fed's taking care of that one too. But look at this, Jeff. Here's the chart right here.
Jim Crapper.
Thank you for that, Kate. So how big is the latest Fed bailout? Well, it's $210 billion. That's just for the 4 banks. Okay, there it is right there. And then don't worry, Jeff. That $100 billion going to cover it all. Not going to be taxpayer money like it was brought up earlier in the show. It's all going to be golden. Everything's good.
It's all going to be golden. They already put the $100 billion in an account that was somehow because of bank fees, and everybody knows that taxes and fees and stuff like that that are placed on corporations and banks, they cover them 100%. They take them out of their profit. Oh wait, no, they don't. They actually build it into as a line item of the cost of the product that they then put profit on. So guess who inevitably pays for any of the taxes and extra fees that are levied against companies that manufacture or sell service or banks? Oh yeah, that's right. Retail pays it. So if there's $100 billion sitting in an account someplace, supposedly from these fees, then it came from everybody out here that banks. There you go. That's where it was. And it's $100 billion, and the asset loss is over $200 billion. So where does the other $110 billion come from? And did that $100 billion they put in their account really come from its extra taxation? So it's a lot of they're playing with words here. They're jockeying things around a little bit.
Yeah, I just love what's going on in this on the zero hedge account. So another big comment here was, this is the biggest disaster in recent Fed history. 4 days ago, the chair of the Federal Reserve was saying, Powell was saying that he could hike 50 basis points. Powell has to be fired immediately. And this is
instant.
Zero Hedge saying that. Then they commented on that tweet saying, this is a regulatory failure of historic proportions by both the Fed and the Treasury. Instead of preventing billions in losses, the Fed was worrying about board diversity, and Yellen was flying to Ukraine. Everybody should be sacked immediately. Jeff, where are they going wrong on this tweet?
That's a solid tweet.
Spot on, right?
They're not watching. It's like that Buttigieg, isn't he in charge of transportation?
Apparently,
I
Jeff,
can't even say the name straight, but
you said it perfect.
Yeah. So, but here, they're all looking someplace else. They're not doing what they should be doing, or maybe they are doing what they should be doing. Who knows?
The system.
But what we do know is that cash velocity, Pelosi invested that $100 billion. So that $100 billion is now worth at least $1 trillion, and someone's sitting on a stockpile of cash and living large because they have $100 billion in the account.
Here's another great. I'm telling you, this Zero Hedge is on fire. I mean, when some news hits, I don't know who runs that account, but
good.
Zero Hedge said, relax. It's SVB. It's not Ohio Valley Bank. It will get resolved, right? So this is just yesterday, right? And then, of course, commenting today, dear uninsured corporate depositors who amounted to 90% of all depositors, you are welcome. Who said
US
that quote? The
taxpayer.
U.S. taxpayers. And sorry, Jamin Diamond, you'll have to wait a few more days before the influx. Don't worry, because you're a fortress. JP Morgan is a fortress, Jeff. That's what we were reminded of. Man.
Chip, can you summarize this question in a brief sentence? Do you have any thoughts on using blockchain to solve many of the problems with the current system? To solve the many problems with the current system?
Yes. Is that right, Jeff? Is that a good answer?
That's a good answer. Yes.
It's just
Yes,
simple. It's
and
yes.
yes.
Yes,
The answer is yes.
and yes.
And then there's this. Oh, where's my play button? The play button is now gone. That's how they do it. I lost my play button, Chip.
Maybe what you have to do. By the way, I like the little Triskelion, or what they call that little Ripple logo on his lapel. Jeff, that'd be great. Next time I put a suit on, I'm gonna have to wear that. Just like you wear that somewhere. They go, "What's that?" You'd be like,
Oh, there we go.
"Ask."
Oh, here we go. You know what? I got it. Here you
To
go.
regulate an industry. Your regulation through enforcement, as opposed to where we're seeing in other countries where they're doing the work, right? They're codifying, they're creating a framework that allows an industry to grow while protecting consumers. And I think that's really what the US is lagging. And to some degree, why I'm here in Washington is to continue to try to evangelize and educate. Here's how these technologies can really benefit consumers, benefit industry.
Is what I'm hearing from you essentially, if the U.S. doesn't get its act together and move more quickly, all of this is going offshore. It's just going elsewhere.
Well, it already is. I mean, the sad reality is that the U.S. really is already behind. And this is not behind countries that we haven't necessarily heard of. This is behind Australia and behind the UK, Japan, Singapore, Switzerland. There's a lot of countries that have taken the time and thoughtfulness to create that clear rules of the road. By contrast, when I first got involved in the tech industry in the late 90s, some were saying the internet should be banned. They were saying, like, here's how the internet is being used for illicit purposes. But the US government said, no, we're going to create a framework. And that allowed entrepreneurs, allowed investors to come in and look at the benefits to the United States on a geopolitical basis to have the Amazons and Googles based in headquartered in the United States. We're at, I think, severe risk of having that not happen in this next evolution of technology around blockchain and crypto.
Boom. There you go, Chip.
Boom.
That's a big boom on that one, Jeff.
There you go.
Holy shit. Let's not do that. That's a bad idea.
No, it's a bad idea. It's pretty much
very
all a
bad idea.
It's a very bad idea. Look at this, Jeff. Oh, wait, what's this? Coinbase, $240 million balance in cash at signature as of Friday. But don't worry. Now,
don't
Jeff,
worry.
here's the weird thing. Are they just going to bail out?
Here.
Are they just going to bail out like non-crypto people? They're like, I'm sorry, we're going to have to draw the line right here. And crypto people get on this side and you other people over here.
They draw the line at Coinbase. Sorry, Coinbase. Sorry, Silvergate. Sorry, whoever else there was. All the creditors of, sorry, anybody that's invested in Voyager, or sorry, anyone invested with FTX. But SVB and what's this other one? Stargate? What are we talking? Oh, Signature.
Silvergate,
and Signature.
SVB,
so I'm putting them together. We get Stargate. So,
but they all begin with S's, Jeff. So what's the next S to fall? I mean, so it's Silvergate, SVB, and Signature. Like, is there another S in there, like a big bank? Are we starting with the S's? I don't know.
We're starting with the S's. Man, it's crazy. So here's preparing for wars at 80% of my investments were in Voyager. 80%. And here's the thing is that Judge Wiles in New York had already ruled on that and said that he was going to approve the Binance purchase of the Voyager assets. And as part of that, they were already stating that with that purchase, the holders, the asset holders, would have about a 73% return on their asset. The SEC and the DOJ stepped in and appealed the decision, stating that Binance is an unregulated an exchange selling unregulated securities. And so instead of just taking a case against Binance directly, they're making the case of Voyager, their purchase of Voyager into the case against Binance US. So it's kind of, instead of looking out for retail, they're not bailing those guys out and trying to help. So it is what we're seeing here, Chip. Again, they're picking winners from losers, and it's extremely destructive in nature, and it shouldn't be happening. They're utilizing taxpayer funds to decide who's going to get it. And maybe it's based on the cronies, maybe it's who and how they're jockeying the money around. But they, this recent collapse with SVB and Signature, we want to see the people made whole. I don't want to see them, penalized, but the collapse is to the doing of those that are doing the buying out. So go figure.
Well, Jeff, so how like we like to invent new acronyms?
We do.
Sam Bankman-Fried became scam, bankrupt, fraud. In this case here, so let's take a look at this Judy Shelton tweet again. The new bailout term is the Bank Term Funding Program. Zero Hedge has a better one. The BTFP, buy the effing pivot. So there you
I like that.
Buy the pivot, man. So this is incredible, man. I mean, there was another one they had here too. Is where is it? Okay, seriously. So for a second, if the Fed is backstopping a facility, which gives banks full collateral credit for unrealized losses due to rate hikes, then the Fed is basically saying that its entire hiking cycle will reverse and all bonds will eventually trade back to par. That's how all over the map we are, Jeff. So don't remember that's what they called the collapse, the SVB one, because of the rate hike, bond market collapse, right? It's like, oh, geez, isn't it all funny how all roads lead back to the Federal Reserve and the Treasury? And they're trying like mad. Now, Jeff, it's amazing. Like, just as one narrative is out there collapsing, all of this other distraction, because what's the one thing that's going to take everyone's mind off of this? Oh no, is my money safe, right? On what's going out there. It's just, imagine it's like that old Wag the Dog movie. Just make it happen. It's like almost as if it was planned. And I'm not saying it is, but it sure is one hell of a coincidence.
Well, it really is. It's the next tenet, right? Because they attack your health, they attack your safety and security, and then they attack your money, the safety of your money, the safety of your investment. You attack people on those three items, and you disrupt society. So you make people feel less safe from a health perspective. Put the fear of God in them. Disrupt security, where they're too terrified to go out the front door. And then the third one is now disrupt the financial stability. And that's a collapse of society. I mean,
look at this.
Like they're pulling this out of a book or something. Just want to get, before you say that, get a quick shout out to Mr. Fibonacci. Great show, guys. We're going to trigger to the EBS system,
Emergency broadcast system, yeah.
Going to come on after the Fed Reserve emergency meeting Monday morning. God, I hope not. Where can we get that?
That would let's please let's not have any more. Let's just relax for a little bit. Take your hand off the button. Let's not collapse anything. Let's just get through this week without any more failures or collapses. Jeff, I love this meme, and this is one of the better versions I've seen of it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Look at this right here. So yeah, cue the aliens, right? So there's a guy standing in the left corner with a party hat on. There's two people dancing, and then there's two couples dancing. And so the guy standing in the corner saying, they don't know that the Fed interviewed at the last minute to make depositors to SVB and Signature whole and then stem the contagion for the financial crisis, but that we're actually still not totally out of the clear because First Republic could be. And the guy says, bro, shut the F up. He's at dancing, enjoying life. Then the other couple says, Academy Awards are tonight. Jesus. It's just fantastic. God, what a great time.
Did they still do the Academy Awards?
Well, Nero was fiddling as Rome was burning, right? It was like just, just carry on, everybody. It's all going to be okay.
Shiab said there needs to be a huge collapse for crypto to be deemed systemically important. I'm sorry, but it needs to get worse. It very well could. We're it's an interesting intersect at this point because we're close to a decision in the case SEC v. Ripple. Now, whichever way it falls, whichever way the outcome is, there's most likely going to be an appeal, potentially a second appeal, and eventually could very well end up in the Supreme Court, which of everyone we've spoken to, all the attorneys we've spoken to and had on the show, I believe that they see, a similar trajectory, for it. But man, it does seem like the planets are aligning on this. And someone else had mentioned as it flew by the chat that maybe this is the aligning as far as the Fed and the governments are concerned to where they roll out the CBDC. And so, or they roll out the digital dollar and they say, well, the collapse, and they've been working on it. Remember that the Fed has been testing with them this digital dollar, the central digital dollar has nothing to do with blockchain or nothing to do with the decentralization of anything. So could you imagine if you cue that comes on the next big round of discussion? Not that they'll roll it, just turn it on, but that could be the next big push to say, hey, due to the instability in the fiat systems and the banking, here's the salvation. We're going to roll out our central digital currency. Look how successful it is over in China with the digital yuan. And we need to compete, and we're going to tie ourselves in somehow to the blah, 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 blah. And who knows what else.
Who knows what else?
So,
But
along that insanity.
Kay had said, only worry about what you can control. That's absolutely 100%. True. It's always
I like that.
It's a true point right here. And then we have this right here. Yeah. And then this one, I love this one, Jeff. Look at so the president of Silicon Valley Bank held a fundraiser at his home for Democratic Senator Mark Warner before Warner then voted to deregulate Silicon Valley Bank. Zero Hedge wanted to make sure that CC Bernie Sanders on that little bit of news right there, just make sure he was in there.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, everybody, right? So that's kind of the week it's been, Jeff. It's been a wahoo hang on because, I mean, almost anything can happen. It will happen. It's going to happen. And it's currently happening right now. But as we are winding down the show here, Jeff, I want to call some attention to some of our badass Yetis. We are releasing an NFT series. I'm going to throw a series of these little bad boys up here. And let me see what I got.
And which tribe is going to be released first?
I think we're gonna go with the Blue Tribe first, and there's some brand new ones in here too. Let's but you'll just get an idea. This is the Blue Tribe, and the Blue Tribe is very
You gonna post them up?
I'm putting them up right now, Jeff. I gotta open them up. It takes a little bit of time. It's not instantaneous.
It takes time. We're using the old fiat system.
No, that would be
using legacy money movement technology.
There we are. Part of the Blue Tribe right there. There it is right there. So there's a Blue Tribe member right there. And that will be the first one. There will be 589. Yep. We've got 4 tribes in total. There's another Blue Triber. There's another Blue Tribe. Brand new one there, Jeff.
So Blue Apex Tribe, wants to know on which blockchain. That's a good question. It is going to roll out on the XRPL.
XRPL, baby. Even though OpenSea reached out to us and said, those are cool. Why don't you do it on us? We're like, hell no. It's going to be on the XRPL. And there you go right there. And I think that's it. That's what I have. That's the badass Yeti. Guys, let me go ahead and put that into Twitter because I want you guys to see it. We need some more followers. We don't have as many followers there.
Yeah, throw in the tweet. If you want to follow our journey as we get closer to the journey part of it, go to the Badass Yeti Twitter that Chip is about to throw in there. We are very close to writing up our metadata JSON file, merging the images and doing all that stuff. So we'll start tweeting about that, what that journey is like. We're deciding between, on the right platform to launch it on first. We're very close to that decision. And then we're going to start rolling this out there. So
let's break 100 followers tonight, Jeff, on Twitter. Guys,
you can break 100. That'd be awesome.
If you're on Twitter, really would appreciate it, guys. We have 340 people in here. Go ahead and click on that and go follow us. I think we can at least get 20 out of this. I'm going to be optimistic and say we can at least get 100. But go ahead and click that. I just dropped it in there, but we should be able to get up to. Let me see if I can. What's the running total, Jeff? Let me refresh. And what do we have? The grand new total is
92.
92. 93, Jeff. You're wrong. I mean, so
and if you're
wrong.
brand new here, definitely hit the subscribe, hit the thumbs up and the notification bell. Even though the notification bell somehow doesn't always work for everybody, including us. Sometimes you have to unclick it and then re-click it to make sure you get notified. But we do stream 3 days a week, Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you come in with us Saturday morning, make sure you bring a strong cup of coffee.
And guys, too, I'll also tell you, I'm also going to drop on the chain.io. So what you guys can do is you can see all the articles we talk about. You get all this stuff. Sometimes you're like, oh, they were talking about this thing and I wanted to share it with somebody. Go ahead and put your email and your name in there. We do not spam. We only send you stuff from on the chain. But go ahead, guys. And again, we're trying to get our numbers up over there too. That's another way that you can support the show. And if we have anything important to tell you, we'll let you know. But mostly all we do is send out that little bit, and I will go ahead. Thank you and good night. And so we go like here, and then there it is, guys, on the chain.io. Really appreciate it. But look at this quote right here, Jeff. If you own a security, it gives you ownership in a company. But if Ripple goes away, XRP will continue trading. That's Brad Garlinghouse famous quote sitting up on our website. And of course, you can catch up with any of our latest shows. And yeah. And then, of course, interviews up here and everything else. So that's all we have, Jeff.
That's it. And as always, we have the best and the brightest in all of the crypto YouTube space. So a quick shout out to you guys. You guys make this show possible and enjoyable, because there's a show behind the show for us as we read all the comments that fly by. So we appreciate you guys. Make sure to tune back in Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will check you guys out on the next one.
Thank you and good night.
There you go. There you go. There it is, and there it is, right? So anyway, there we go, guys. That's how we like to end it. On top, guys. Chip and Jeff out. We will see you on the next one. Have a good rest of your week. See you on Wednesday.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.